All right, it's 5 o'clock. Thanks everybody for being here tonight. We will go through our agenda and get any questions answered that we have for next week's council meeting. I will go ahead and there's two folks or three folks that have signed up for public comment. First is Donald and Heather Collins. Is that you guys? Whoever wants to speak, if you just want to come to the podium here, and we do 3 minutes typically to address the council, and just give us your name and address.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Heather Collins. I'm representing the Woody Williams Morgan County Gold Star Families Memorial Monument. And we're hoping to have a resolution done to be able to place it at Founders Park, which is, the monument is historic in its own way, and it's not it has no names. It's strictly a memorial monument honoring all Gold Star families. That's the families who have lost a loved one. So we, during war and accidents throughout. But it means so much. We have over 172 and counting that have been lost. That's just the ones that have been lost. That's not including the families, and let me tell you, there's a lot of them. And there's families that have moved in from other cities, counties, everywhere. And it's important to them, and it's important to people that may not even have someone in the service. I don't know how many people here, just out of curiosity, have been in the service or have a family member that has been. Could you raise your hand? Okay, well, we appreciate all of them for their service. And I just want to say that the history of it, that's why the park is so important. The history, we have just the last, I believe it's the last casualty of World War I was Walls. Well, in 1963, I believe Walls Department Store closed. That was the brother of the one that we lost. So the history is so far, and they're in the cemeteries all over the county. And we just feel that this is a real important thing to honor. And that's all I wanted to say tonight, to present it.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Collins. Any questions or?
Oh, questions? Anybody?
Any questions? No, I think we would all agree with everything you said. Thank you. And then I have Miss Andrea Hoffmeyer Wilson wanted to speak.
Thank you for giving me a few minutes. Andrea Hoffmeyer Wilson, representing One Decatur United Citizens Kaizen. And we would like to share with everybody that Friday is the 50th anniversary of Arbor Day. So we'd like to kick off an opportunity for One Duck and other citizens to collaborate with City Council and other parts of city administration. Because we would like to preserve, protect, and replace trees. Because did you know that the city of Decatur does not have a tree ordinance that goes beyond public property tree management? The current system is something like this. Zoning approval, clear cut your trees at will with no inventory or requirement for replacement. Minor plat approval, planning commission seems to not really look at streetscaping requests from citizens, and then where is the process from there? We're not sure. But at that point, it's too late. The lot is clear cut, and we don't have a go-back machine. So best practices for other cities include ordinances for the preservation and planned replacement of trees. Now, we know that all mature trees have been lost at 809 Carradale, that's the former Decatur Nursery, for the building site preparation with no preservation attempted. We are not against growth. We're asking for smart growth. And many other developments are underway. Many other zoning increases are being granted frequently. We're going to talk about some of them tonight, actually being scheduled. So going forward, we would ask for developers to preserve as many trees as possible and to be responsible for restorative streetscaping. So we propose that there needs to be a process to accompany increased zoning requests and plat approvals. So we will be presenting the One Duck proposal for this process to develop a positive tree protection ordinance this Friday on the 50th anniversary of Arbor Day at 3:30 p.m. to whomever would be available for us to hand it to you. It's more of this is not a protest, this is not a demonstration, this is a celebration of citizens bringing to City Hall our proposal to start this process. So we are then our ask today is for this process to be included in this upcoming Monday session and in your working sessions going forward. We have researched several exemplary tree ordinances throughout Alabama, and one of them that we will be bringing to you in particular, we're doing all of our research on this, is the City of Gulf Shores has a really fabulous tree protection ordinance. And they explain that, that it has several purposes, but I will tell you that the ordinance pays for itself because there's permit fees and all these other kinds of things that, that make sure that it's not an extra burden on the city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would just, of course, want to protect, and Jason, we've had some discussions about trees from a public perspective, possibly budgeting monies to plant trees. I would personally, I can only speak for myself, be pretty hesitant to tell a landowner what trees they can or how many trees they can or can't take down. I've taken trees out of my yard as well, whether it's a developer or somebody that owns a home. But I think we're all in favor of looking for ways to plant more trees, especially what we lost out here, probably to the tens of hundreds of trees over a time period that should make up for any lost trees from development. But that's just my personal opinion, but thank you. All right, we'll move into our agenda. We'll have a proclamation from the mayor for Historic Preservation Month. Next week, approval of minutes, April 4th, 2022, 6 p.m. council meeting, April 11th, 2022, 5 p.m. work session, April 18th, 2022, 9:30 a.m. work session, April 18th, 2022, 10 a.m. council meeting. Any questions? All right, next we'll move into set public hearings. Ordinance number 224512, approved rezoning request 138922 for Mike Aziz to rezone 0.33 acres from B1 local shopping district to B2 general business district located at 1201 Moulton Street West. Set public hearing for June 6th, 2022 at 6 p.m.
Yes, this is on the corner of 12th and Moulton, little shopping, little convenience store that's been there for a long time. They came asking for B1 to B2. They were looking to open a package store. This is kind of that issue we've been seeing a lot lately of, if you go from B1 to B2, that's a general business that you're going to all of the different uses that are allowed. That's typically the argument that comes up, and that's what came up here. The applicant did have a petition that was circulated that had approximately 200 signatures that was obtained in favor of the rezoning request, as well as he had some support show up day of to speak in favor of going to a B2 zoning on this. And so ultimately this one came down to a split 4-4 decision by the Planning Commission, and because it was 4-4, that is a failure to get the recommendation for this body, but just figured you would want to know all of the discussion that.
And I watched the Planning Commission and I saw the folks that came and spoke in favor, but have you gotten calls to the department about this that were opposed?
Not really. It's been kind of quiet. Mostly all the conversation happened at the planning commission meeting. And this was also, it was 2 months in a row that this was discussed. It was tabled 1 month and it came back and a vote was finally held on it this month.
You guys kind of had some beginning conversations on taking package store and kind of looking at the alcohol ordinance and the way it's written. What was I've watched bits and pieces of it. I hadn't gone back and watched it yet, but what were the feelings on that? Because, you know, there was one last month and now this one, and I understand the fear of what all the Pandora's box V2 opens. And I know they're saying, well, it's just for a package store, but we can't just say, well, it's just for a package store. So what were the thoughts on?
There does seem to be, as far as at the planning commission level, a willingness or a wanting to look at, one, how restrictive we are on the types of alcohol sales in each district. The biggest problem you have in B1 is it is only off-premise beer and wine sales that are allowed. In your B2, it is full on and off-premise alcoholic beverage. It's even more complicated when you move to our B5 zoning. There are a lot more caveats in that one to what types of sales you can do and where. There seems to be a willingness, like I said, at least from the Planning Commission, to simplify that and go to more of, in the commercial districts, full on and off-premise alcoholic beverage sales in all of our commercial districts, and then looking more closely at the primary uses, if a package store would be allowed or if a restaurant would be allowed, if those are what we would call a special exception, where you come before BOZA and get BOZA's permission to operate those. So that seems to be the direction that the Planning Commission wants to move. And so we are going to work with the consultant that's doing the rewrite to get us kind of a framework, a proposal of what that would look like and how it would incorporate into the rewrite document. And it looks like a good way to kind of flesh that idea out is we're going to have a public meeting on that. Let's put it out there in that public meeting setting and see what the feedback from the community is on it and see if it's something we want to incorporate in the zoning rewrite.
There's currently B2 on Moulton now, isn't there?
There are a few little pockets here or there, and then kind of interspersed in with the larger B1 district. The shopping center there where Nash Barbecue is zoned B2, and then the larger shopping center right down the street is B2 as well.
All right, any questions, other questions?
Hey, you were talking about the rewrite. Can you send me a list? Because I'm getting calls about people who are on committee or the subcommittee. Can you send me a list of those people who are on the subcommittee?
Yes.
Thank you.
And we did have a update meeting with our consultant this past Thursday and are working to firm up our timeline. It looks like we are going to be looking to have public meeting and start the adoption process mid-August is what that time frame looks like. We're trying to stay very hard on that schedule so that we can have everything done with the consultant before we roll over to the next fiscal year. That's what we're shooting for.
All right, any other questions? Next is ordinance 224513, approve rezoning request 139222 by Erica Powell for 0.19 acres, more or less, to be rezoned from B1, local shopping district, to B2, general business district, located at 511 19th Avenue Southeast. Set public hearing for June 6, 2022, 6 p.m.
Similar situation, except this one, where the last one was a package store, this one was expressly said a bar and grill was what they were looking for. and the planning commission, denied that request.
I think there was one yes vote.
There was one yes.
Why was there a difference? I mean, it's the same zoning, so the impact is gonna be the same if either of the businesses goes out of business within a year or 6 months. Why was there a difference in the thought of the planning commission with one versus the other?
I think it mainly came down to what the stated purpose was. A package store is seen as a lower impact to the neighborhood than a bar and grill, which is the stated purpose for this one. And this property does immediately abut several residences all around it. That was just kind of, like I said, this is we're seeing a lot of this, and that's why,
We had the same
wanted to-
situation last month, or was it earlier this month or last month with Morningside?
Mhm.
Same situation, and it doesn't really matter. It should matter, and they're the planning commission, so they should know this better than anybody, that it doesn't really matter what the immediate use is,
Mhm.
it's what the possibilities are down the line.
And that's ultimately what these discussions in the B1 to B2 always circle back to in the end is while the planning commission may be okay with the stated purpose, it always comes back to, well, if that goes out of business, then it's zone B2, what else would that be to allow? That's ultimately why these tend to fail.
Well, and that's my concern, is that the planning commission is looking at all of these, but they're not looking at all of them same as far as what the potential is.
Mhm.
And so that's my concern, is that the planning commission is looking at them differently for some reason when all of them can have the same outcome.
A lot of it is on that first one, on Moulton Street, having residents that were in a close proximity showing up and saying they were okay with it is what got that one more votes than this one did. This one had nobody to show up and speak in support of it. A lot of times it can be as simple as that, is having community support or not.
Have you had anybody reach out over this one?
On this one, no. Not really, no.
Was a restaurant, used to be West, right there on the corner of Grant
Yeah.
in Somerville? What is that zoned?
B5.
B5?
It's B5, yes.
And then there, just south of this one though, there is a B2? That,
There is yes, there is one just south, I believe, that's correct.
okay.
Yeah, from a council perspective, I would agree with Mr. Jackson's point. Yes, the neighbors, the neighborhoods, or anyone's really points and thoughts matter, but it's the same. I mean, we have to make the decision based on what the criteria, what those can be, and if you have a problem with what they can be, then you probably don't need to vote in favor of it.
And like I said, that's ultimately what these come back to, and why this B1 to B2 fails so often to get a recommendation from the planning commission, is that's what the argument always circles back to, is what could it possibly also be. And these are neighborhood districts, and the desire to keep them in that neighborhood commercial district, and that's kind of the reason for the B1 zoning.
But that was also the reason that the one on Moulton Street was tabled by Planning Commission the month previous, correct? Was because the petition did not list out what
What all
B2
B2 could be.
And he explained that on his petition and still had
And still had
200 plus
about
signatures.
200 signatures, yes. Which is what ultimately got that one a few more votes.
And people
got that
showing
one a little
up.
closer.
Right.
And having people show up and speak in favor of it.
So even if we're talking about pulling the alcohol element out of B2 and tweaking it, we're looking at an August timeframe for
The adoption, and that's to have the public meeting, so you'd be looking at adoption, September by planning commission, October, early November by this body. is kind of the time frame we're looking at on that, so that's another thing to think about on this.
All right, any other discussion? All right, ordinance 224514, approve rezoning request 139322 for Aspen Properties to rezone approximately 2 acres from R2 Single Family Residential District to an R6 Single Family Semi-Attached Residential District, and is located at 331 Austinville Road Southwest. Set public hearing for June 6, 2022 at 6 p.m.
Yes, this is the property on the corner of Caradell and Austinville, and it was recommended for approval.
Okay, any questions, discussion? Ordinance 224515, approve rezoning request 139422 for Wind Chase Townhomes to rezone approximately 0.46 acres more or less from an R6 single-family semi-attached residential district to an R5 single-family patio home, 0 lot line residential district, and is located north of 2847 Hempstead Avenue Southwest. Set public hearing for June 6, 2022 at 6 p.m.
Yes, this is a request from actually the Homeowners Association. There are some tennis courts that are apparently underutilized, so they are selling these tennis courts to the developer of the subdivision, and they're going to put in approximately 5 more patio home lots.
All right, any questions, discussion? All
That
right,
is that the HOA, is that right? They're
Yes.
selling, yeah.
The HOA is selling this property, yes.
Whole neighborhood selling.
all right, ordinance 224516, approve rezoning request 139522 for Jason Parker's property containing 3.04 acres more or less from a B1 local shopping district, R1 single-family residential district to a B2 general business district located at 3112 Highway 31 South. Set public hearing for June 6, 2022 at 6 p.m.
This is a odd situation where you've got a split zoning on a piece of property. It's B1 in the front and R1 in the back. He is looking to expand his veterinary business and build a larger clinic. Unfortunately, it was going to encroach over into the R1 district, which is what then made him have to look at a rezoning. Looking at the corridor and everything around it, and working with the planning department, we encouraged him to look at a B2 zoning for this property. I'm not really sure how it got a B1 in the first place. It's not really a B1 corridor. This is South 31. This property is right next to the Ford dealership. Pretty firmly B2 corridor, so he was encouraged to just go ahead and ask for B2 for the entire property.
All right, any questions? All right, public hearings, resolution 22094, approve request for restaurant retail liquor for Wingin' It LLC, doing business as Buffalo Wild Wings at 945 Wimberley Drive Southwest, Decatur, Alabama 35601. Lori?
Yeah, this is, they currently have a alcohol license, but they decided to change their DBA again. I know this came before the council not too long ago, but they've changed the DBA. It's the same owner, but they wanted to change the name, so we'll have to go back through.
Okay, any questions? All right, next, resolution 22095, approve request for special event retail liquor license by Wit LLC, doing business as JW Steakhouse on behalf of Dragon Boat Races to be held on May 14th, 2022 at 2901 Mallard Drive Southeast, Decatur, Alabama 35601.
They've met all criteria. This is just special event license.
All right, any questions? All right, resolution 22096, approve request for off-premise beer and wine alcohol license for Aradaya, that's my best try, Incorporated, doing business as Tommy 2 at 2354 Danville Road Southwest, Decatur, Alabama 35603.
They've met all criteria.
Okay, any questions? Resolution 22097, approve request for off-premise beer and wine alcohol license for B&M Sun Incorporated, doing business as Tommy 3 at 907 Woodall Road Southwest, Decatur, Alabama 35603.
And they've met all criteria.
Okay, any questions? All right, resolutions, resolution 22098, declare surplus of municipal vehicles no longer needed by the police department.
Council, Mayor. It's a list of multiple vehicles here, from older Crown Vics that are damaged to vehicles that are no longer being able to use. So,
Okay, any questions? All right, resolution 22099, approve agreement with Decatur Board of Education for DYS to use Austin Junior High Gym. Is that you? No, you.
Ready, that's you, by the way.
Reply about it?
It's just that you want to use the Austin High, Junior High
Okay.
gym.
What we need
Summer
for it?
program's what you want to do, right?
Okay, the
That's what you
importance of the
did
building?
last year.
Okay. Well, the importance of the building, if anybody know, we don't have enough room as it is. We're waiting on a building at this time with our program. And we're housing over thousands of kids. So we need to, Cater City School to partner with us so we can use the gym for our summer program. Also, we use the gym for our basketball program. And also we can use the gym in the classroom for the facilities. Because the facility we have now is not big enough. So we're working out 11 different buildings right now. So that's what we need it for. It's very important.
I think their board passed it already to do
I'm not
that.
sure.
I thought I saw
Got
that.
sent over here.
Say it again?
I think their board, the school board, passed this.
Yeah, they did.
resolution. Okay. All right, any questions for Brandon? Thank you, sir. Resolution 22100, approve the placement of a Gold Star Memorial Monument at Founders Park. Mr. Lake?
As y'all just heard, we had a great meeting the other day. Gold Star is, of course, we've already have Blue Star, Gold Star at Train Depot. The meaning behind those things are of course very needed, and I think with the passing of Mr. Mills over the weekend, I think it's kind of fitting that this is the one that that comes up for this time. But we have to notice these folks that were in our community that fought and died. Councilman Jackson, we've talked about a place over next to Dry Creek for the over there. I think that needs to happen. But this location that we're talking about at Founders Park would be something that many people would see when they went by. It would show our support for our people that have served and died, and I think it was a good idea, and I appreciate you bringing it to the city. Thank you.
Jason, can you talk a little bit about this thing's big. Yeah, and not to put you on the spot, and I bet Ms. Collins knows. Do you remember the dimensions?
I don't know the dimensions, but for the actual council meeting, we'll actually have pictures and
Okay.
everything. I'll be sending you that information this week in your emails and stuff.
Okay.
But we'll be able to show, because I want anybody watching the community to see, because it's beautiful. It's they've done these in other communities. They're respectful to they kind of make them where they're personalized to that community, and at the same time, it's a broad spectrum of, and this is just one thing that Ms. Collins is doing. That they work with cemeteries, anything they can do. They even try to see what other folks are doing so they can partner with them. So if anybody's listening to this and you're working on something that is veteran oriented or whatever, Ms. Collins, they're always looking for people to partner with, and we're happy to partner with you also. So,
Any questions for Jason? Thank you, sir. Resolution 22101, authorize mayor to sign addendum to the 2018 build grant. Alan?
Yes, this is just an addendum to the original grant agreement, extending our time. The period of performance is September of this year. The grant actually doesn't end till 24, so this just allows us some extra time to complete the grant, to complete the bridge.
Any questions? Thank you, sir. Resolution 22-102, authorize mayor to accept the NFC and Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Alabama grant for a fitness court.
Yeah, this is just the grant that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, just allowing us to apply for that.
Does that tie us into the location that was discussed?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Okay. All right, any questions? Resolution 22-103, approve purchase and lease of equipment for parks and recreation.
This was a renewal of an existing lease. One thing I would like to point out is when we talked about beautification, how we would improve these contracts. Jonathan's been working on this contract for about 6 months now. And the contract, when you look at the numbers on it, you'll actually see that the money has went down compared to what it was month to month in the old contract. What we did is we went through needs of what we need, what we can get, what makes sense for us to get better. They did that. So we're not getting the exact same things we were before, but we're getting things we know that meet our needs. And by doing so, we were able to save a little bit of money. But at the end of the day, this is part of the process. We're talking about making these contracts more efficient.
All right, any questions? All right, ordinances first reading, ordinance 22-4517, approve annexation request 36822 by Ivan Holt, G&H Holdings.
Yes, this is a property on McIntyre Lane, just south of Highway 24. They are wishing to annex in to be able to access the sewer system.
All right, any questions? All right, ordinances, ordinance number 22-4508, approve ad valorem tax levy for fiscal year 2023.
Yeah, we talked about that. No new taxes, just the same as we had.
Okay, any questions? All right, anything else from any directors? You're finished for today? All right, Mayor? All right, anything else from council? All right, we're dismissed. Thanks.